Now let's talk about the cost of living adjustment. This calculation uses simple interest to calculate your annual increase. If your pension is $2,500 per month the first year and you're on a 3% cost of living increase, then your increase is $75 per month at the end of the first year. Now what you and I would do is we'd take the 75 plus the 2,500 and multiply it by another 3%. That's not how it works. That's compounding. This is simple interest. So at the end of the second year, you get an additional $75. So now $150. At the end of the third year, an additional $75. So now $225. You say, well, why does that matter? It doesn't matter in the first couple of years, but over 20 or 30-year retirement, it makes a big difference. All right, SERS's cost of living increase has been 3%. STRS's cost of living increase has been 0 for the first 5 years, then 2%. Both of those have disappeared. Both of those are gone. SERS says they will look at it again in 5 years. SERS said they'll bring it back in 3 years under the consumer price index right now is roughly 1.8 to 2%. Now here's what I tell people. People say, well, how did this happen? And my answer is, you're busy working, they're busy running the pension system, and nobody's paying attention. So I recommend that you write your letters. Write your letters to the state, write your letters to your state congressman, not the federal, but the state, and say, I don't think this is right. You know, people are living longer and you're not going to add to our pension. So I would recommend you write the letters to the state, all right? As I said, SERS is going to bring the COLA back in 2020 under consumer price index. OPERS was due to lower their cost of living from 3% to consumer price index. It did not pass the legislature, so it is still currently 3%. And this all happened in the middle of getting the program ready for this year. It was going to go to consumer price index, then it got approved, so it changes all the time. But here's what I will tell you. OPERS is working hard to lower the cost of living index, just like the other organizations. And OPERS is the bigger of the three. Okay, so it makes a difference for them. But for right now, 3% continuing, okay, and as I said, continuing to offer non-member spouses health insurance coverage. All right, so what we're trying to figure out is with your pension and the cost of living, will you have enough to live off of? So in this graph here, you've got inflation at 4%, you've got OPERS at a simple 3%, you got STRS at 2%, and there's some pretty serious gaps here between what your pension pays and what things really cost. All right, it's not a big deal down here in the first few years, but I have clients that are retired 25 and 30 years from the system, and they have to have other assets to be able to live and maintain their lifestyle. Okay, now you take it a step farther, and you have no cost of living increase. Now the gaps are even bigger. Okay, so you have to have other assets to be able to rely on, or else your living standard just continues to lower.